Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Kiana Lekwe, and for this week I'm going to be evaluating Indigenous populations in Toronto, Ontario, aka my hometown. And so before I get into the big grand spiel of things, let me just give a quick background as to my growing up in downtown. So I grew up in the College Street area, which is predominantly Portuguese, Italian, Korean, and Chinese descent people. So there wasn't a lot of Indigenous representation to my knowledge. And so I was so shocked, or as the kids say, shocked. No, but seriously though, I was so shocked and surprised to find out that Toronto actually has the fourth largest population of Indigenous people in all of Canada, with 36,995 individuals. And when I first read the number, I was even more excited to do this video for you guys because I feel like I was just so ignorant and clueless to the Indigenous population in Toronto. So this is just a great opportunity for me to really delve in and see, that aspect of my city, that aspect of my neighborhood. So without further ado, let's get into this. Use data from Statistics Canada to develop and evaluate the Aboriginal population in your home community. So according to Stats Canada, Toronto's total population in 2006 was roughly 2.5 million people. And of this population, there was roughly 13,605 Aboriginal identified individuals living in the city. And so if you compare that number to the later consensus in 2011, where there's 36,995, you can see that off-reserve Indigenous people constitute as one of the fastest growing segments in Canadian society. And in regards to which Indigenous nations are the most prominent in the city, the majority of individuals identified as North American Indian, followed by Métis and Inuit. And of this 13,605 First Nations in the city of Toronto, only 5,510 have registered Indian status, which is something that I found really interesting because I figured that there might have been more. And now let's move on to Indigenous languages, which is something that I was actually really interested in because, again, I didn't grow up with a lot of First Nation representation in my neighborhood, so I didn't really hear a lot of Indigenous languages, so I'm interested to see if there's a lot of languages in the city. Okay, so I just finished reading the statistics, and unfortunately only 4% have knowledge of an Aboriginal language, where 10% only know French as their first language, and 81% only know English as their first language. So that's a really big shock right there. I didn't know that was gonna happen. That kind of sucks. And so now let's talk about some education of Indigenous people in Toronto. When I was doing the research, I just kind of expected it to be, pretty average out with everybody else. And so I'm very saddened and I'm very shocked to see the drastic differences in education between Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people. In regards to education, 23% of Aboriginal people in Toronto do not have a certificate, diploma, or degree. Only 19% have a high school certificate, 7% have an apprenticeship or trade certificate or diploma, 13% have a college, CEGEP, or non-university certificate or diploma, and only 2% have a university certificate. And now, let's talk about earnings. I feel like the more I read about these statistics, the madder I get. I just read the first sentence of this, and I'm unimpressed. According to the 2005 consensus, the median earnings for the total Aboriginal identified population in Toronto was $26,332. For men, it averaged out to be about $30,000, and for women, even less, $23,000. Well, now let's try to move away from those depressing statistics. Part 2 of this video is going to be about some events, organizations that are available in the community. So hopefully that'll brighten up the mood a bit. So first, let's discuss the NCCT, or the Native Canadian Centre of Toronto. The NCCT was established in 1962, and it's a member-based charitable organization that offers a wide range of programs and services based on Indigenous cultural traditions and teachings. It delivers programs and services to urban Indigenous people, and it's Toronto's oldest Indigenous community center. Wow, that's really... Sorry, I got sidetracked. That happens all the time. And it's Toronto's oldest Indigenous community organization. The NCCT also provides social, recreational, cultural, and spiritual services for the Indigenous community and visitors alike. Its mission is to provide a welcoming space for all and deliver innovative programs and services reflecting traditional Indigenous cultural perspectives. Its mandate is to maintain an inclusive environment where Indigenous people can connect to their ancestry and all people can explore the values of Indigenous knowledge. And lastly, its visions include a world that appreciates the true value of Indigenous knowledge, a community which embraces its place in that world, and a self-sufficient center that enables it all. And some of the programs offered in this organization include Indigenous cultural awareness training, seniors programs, cultural programs, communications and referral office, martial arts programs, and many more. The next organization I looked at is titled the Toronto Aboriginal Support Services Council. Now, the goal of the Toronto Aboriginal Support Services Council is to be a leader in Aboriginal research by assuming a facilitator and stewardship role and using research findings to influence policy. TASSC, as is otherwise known, aims to seek out partnership with post-secondary and allied institutions and to promote respect of Aboriginal cultural protocols while adhering to Aboriginal research ethics. The organization also seeks to strengthen the Toronto Aboriginal community's desire to engage with all levels of government, ultimately aiming to increase governmental attention and resources to effectively meet the needs and aspirations of the urban Aboriginal community at large. And now for part 3 of the video, what kind of stories does the local media offer? Alright, so how I decided to begin with this is that I just googled Indigenous people in Toronto CP24, which is like a big news station for us, and this is what popped up. And so as you can see, most of the headlines associate Indigenous people with social activism, political disputes with federal, municipal, and or provincial governments, lawsuits and land claims. So Toronto definitely approaches indigeneity through a more political lens. And it doesn't really mention a lot of cultural aspects or some of the organizations that I discussed earlier. And just off the top of my head, I know that Toronto kind of tries to embrace Indigenous culture through the street signs. I know that they were putting like Indigenous like titles with the original street names, so there's some effort there. But other than that, I don't really remember seeing much of like a Indigenous Heritage Month or week or anything like that. And now the fourth and final part of this video, what is the social cultural relationships that either enhance or detract from intercultural relationships? And so for this section, what I did is I actually interviewed my friend Macleod Tesfaye and some of her friends. My friend, she went to St. Clement's School in Northern Toronto, and one day while hanging out, she was describing how her school had a course titled Aboriginal Studies, where students focused on Canadian Indigenous histories, cultures, religions, traditions, etc. And students in this course were also required to attend the First Nations Junior and Senior School in Toronto every week to participate in activities with elementary students, so like playing games with them, maybe assistant teaching and things like that. And I found this an interesting approach to intercultural mingling, and so I was interested to see her friends' opinions on the course and if they think it enhanced social cultural relationships between themselves, because these students were predominantly white and Asian, so seeing how they interacted with the Indigenous students and see if that changed up anything. And so I interviewed the girls, well not interviewed, I just sent them the questions on Facebook, and I got the responses, and they were really interesting and enlightening. So one of the girls, her name is Megan, wrote, "I'm going to go ahead and say that while visiting the school was fun, it didn't really enhance my understanding of Aboriginal culture in any way. It exposed me to smudging ceremonies, which we got to participate in, which was a neat experience, but I don't think it particularly helped me broaden my perspective on Aboriginal existence or anything. I think the relationship we made with the kids are valuable in a mentor-mentee sense, but not necessarily in a cultural sense." I found that really interesting because I think the school was attempting to at least create this intercultural mingling, but I guess it was unsuccessful in its doings. I'm not sure what they could have done differently or what they had done wrong, but I would have thought that she would have had more of a positive answer or at least outcome from the experience in terms of intercultural mingling. And so that brings me to the end of the video. Before I end, just some quick summarizing thoughts that I had from it. What most surprising was definitely some of the statistics. The finances just really blew my mind, and education levels too. That was really unfortunate. But I also learned some really cool things. So I didn't know about some of the organizations that they had doing some really great things, and I would love to maybe get some more information on that, see if they do any other stuff in my immediate neighborhood. But other than that though, really surprised. I really enjoyed this project, and I feel more enlightened in terms of the Indigenous community in Toronto. and I'm excited to learn more and maybe keep my eye open to more Indigenous culture represented in the city. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in class. Bye.